Welcome back. So, this slide is entitled The Birth of Religion, and in case you're wondering looking at it, it looks like it's come from a magazine, and you're absolutely right. I took this from issue of National Geographic. I love Nat Geo. It's a beautiful magazine, and they have lots and lots of really, really good information in there. And they had an article about what we just happened to be talking about, which was the birth of religion. And this content, the dating that the archaeologists and anthropologists have best been able to pinpoint is 9600 BCE. And that's a long time ago. In case you're curious what BCE stands for, it stands for before the Common Era, ERA, and it's the same time frame as before Christ. Like when I was in school, we had BC, before Christ, and AD, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. That's Latin. A lot of people think it means after death. Does not. But that's been replaced by BCE and then CE. So if you see in the years BCE, it's the same time frame as BC. So, kind of to talk you through here, and this connects and to our previous lecture about the numinous and the birth of supernatural, the absolute, the ultimate, the holy. So what happened 9600 BCE was our last ice age ended. So all that snow and the ice caps melted and retreated back to the North and South Pole. And then people responded to the warmer environment. Now, the top of this slide shows what researchers formerly believed had happened. In other words, because the snow melted and the glaciers retreated, that people formed permanent settlements, domesticated plants and animals, agriculture was born, and then religion was formed. But because they found this really, really old temple in present-day Turkey, wonderment, and this is the bottom, wonderment at changes in the natural world, that's the numinous. Yes, the numinous. That came first. In other words, archaeologists have discovered a temple that is older than any known permanent settlement. So what does that mean? Is that what was more important for people was not building homes, domesticating plants and animals, and planting crops, but worship. Religion came before all of that. Wow, this is the best thing in the world. Absolute best. So what does this mean, you might be wondering yourselves? Well, what this means is that human beings have always been religious. We've always sought the absolute, the ultimate, the holy. We've always been drawn to the holy. So then, because of religion, people came together for different sacred rituals, thus creating the need to grow food for all these people that were coming and worshiping at these sacred spots. Wow. So the bottom half of this slide, this is what we now believe as opposed to the top. Wow, and this was such a long time ago. Amazing, amazing. Now, animism. What animism is, it's the practice of native religions, as well as very ancient ones, based upon their experience with the numinous in nature. With animism, this is the belief that elements of nature, as well as the physical world and the cosmos, have souls or a spiritual aspect. So in other words, animistic cultures believe that the deer that they kill for food has a spirit to it. The clouds likewise have spirit to it, as do the sun, the stars, and the moon have a spiritual aspect or even a soul. But, and here's something important, there's no personal being to relate to. So in other words, with animistic cultures, with animism, the emphasis is upon spirit and soul. There's no personal being. We haven't said the G word. We'll get to the G word pretty soon, but we haven't said that. Now, for the ordinary human being, like you and me, we would need to have someone to help us access the spiritual world. And that someone who would help us access the spiritual world would be called a shaman. Now, the two visuals here, the bottom picture, this is of Native Americans, and they practice animism. They would worship different parts of the physical world, such as buffalo. Now, the other picture, this is a picture of a shaman, and he has this wonderful, wonderful costume on here with beautiful bird feathers, the necklace, as well as the garlands that are draped around his torso of shells and claws, perhaps even teeth that have been pierced to make the necklace there. Now, what I find fascinating about this picture is you'll notice his clothing is contemporary. And that's because in certain parts of the world, there are still animistic cultures around. And these are only to be found pretty much deep in the Amazon basin, as well as in certain parts of the deep rivers in Africa. That even in the 21st century, we find it hard to believe, but it's true that culture and all these different aspects of modernity have not reached and carried with it the different missionary aspects of religion. So these people still practice their indigenous faiths, which are animistic. They worship different parts of the physical world as well as the cosmos. So we'll continue our lecture, continue as we start to roll on through.